Gear 6 is coming, and Oda has been teasing it right in front of us this entire time. Not in Egghead, not in Wano, but back in God Valley, long before Luffy was even born. And the craziest part is that Gear 5 was never meant to be Luffy's final form. It was only the first rhythm of something far bigger. Because the drums of liberation don't end at joy. They evolve into something deeper. And when that rhythm changes, the entire world of One Piece will shift with it. Today, we're going to break down exactly why Gear 6 is not just possible, but inevitable, and why the next stage of Luffy's power will be unlike anything we've ever seen. So let's dive in, and trust me, you want to watch this until the end. Everything starts at God Valley, the island the world government tried to erase completely. Not because of Roger, not because of Garp, but because of Rocksteady Xebec. He was the first man in history to tap into the true nature of a de-awakening. He didn't stretch, he didn't bounce, he didn't become a cartoon. His soul itself awakened, and it nearly tore the world apart. That scene wasn't random. It was a blueprint, a warning of what full awakening looks like, and a foreshadowing of what Luffy will one day reach. Because Luffy's awakening is still incomplete. Gear 5 was just the beginning of the path Rock stood on decades ago. And that path ends in nothing less than Gear 6. Gear 5 is insane, flashy, brilliant, but it's unstable. Luffy laughs, but his body screams. The drums pound, but his stamina melts away. He's free, but fragile. A final form cannot leave the user half dead after every transformation. A final form cannot collapse under its own power. A final form cannot rely purely on joy. It needs mastery. Gear 5 is too wild, too emotional, too explosive. It's the awakening, not the destination. If Gear 5 was meant to be Luffy's peak, Oda wouldn't have made it so draining. The drawbacks exist for a reason. To force Luffy towards something higher, something stable, something godlike. And that something is Gear 6. The drums of liberation are not just a sound effect. They're a transformation key, a biological rhythm that controls Luffy's awakening. Gear 5 uses what I call the joy rhythm. Light, bouncy, chaotic. But every rhythm has layers, deeper frequencies waiting to be unlocked. And Oda has shown us repeatedly that music, heartbeat, and rhythm define the sun god. The first rhythm awakened Gear 5. The second rhythm will awaken Gear 6, a darker, deeper, divine heartbeat that doesn't just free Luffy. It unleashes the full sun god inside him. And that shift will change the entire tone of his power, from playful to mythic. The D-Clan is not about rebellion. It's about awakening. Every D has a moment where their spirit surpasses their body. Law awakened his fruit at the edge of death. Ace awakened his will in his final moments. Rocks awakened his soul into a monstrous force. And Luffy awakened Joy Boy through pure identity. But the pattern isn't complete yet. There is always a second awakening. A stage where the D reveals its true nature. For Rocks, that stage was the Domi reverse. For Luffy, that stage will be Gear 6. A form not tied to Joy Boy's legacy, but to Luffy's own destiny. Elbaf is not just another island. It's the spiritual center of the sun god mythology. The giants worship Nika as more than a legend. They treat him as a cosmic truth. They know the ancient stories. They know the rituals. They know the deeper rhythms of the sun god that Luffy hasn't heard yet. Elbaf is where Luffy will learn to control the drums instead of being controlled by them. Elbaf is where he will stabilize the awakening. Elbaf is where he will discover the second rhythm. And Elbaf is where Gear 6 will be born. It is the only place in the world with the sunlight, history, and myth powerful enough to trigger the sun god's true evolution. Gear 6 will not come from training. It will not come from meditation. It will not come from a simple power-up. It will come from loss. Luffy will face an enemy who overwhelms even Gear 5. Someone who crushes the joy out of the rhythm. Someone who forces the drums to shift into their deeper mode. In that moment, when Luffy's spirit trembles but refuses to break, the second rhythm will awaken. His heartbeat will change. His aura will darken and brighten at the same time. The world will feel the sun god rising. And then, Gear 6 erupts. Gear 5 was joy. Gear 6 will be divinity. Gear 5 was awakening. Gear 6 will be mastery. Gear 5 was Joy Boy's echo. Gear 6 will be Luffy's true voice. And when the second rhythm of the drums finally hits the world, when the sun god reveals his full power, when Luffy surpasses every limit placed on him since birth, that is the moment the Pirate King is born. That is the moment the world government collapses. That is the moment Gear 6 becomes legend.